Actually, everyone knows Rome fell, but we don't really talk about why. If we understood the real reasons that brought about the end of that giant empire, we'd immediately realize how familiar the events unfolding in America today feel. The same arrogance, the same mistakes, and unfortunately, the same ending. In the 5th century, Romans believed their empire would last forever. Think about it. They had the strongest army in the world. Their currency was accepted everywhere, and their technology was incredible for the time. People were happy and comfortable, with constant entertainment. Collapse? Impossible, they said, until the day it wasn't. If you've noticed lately that prices are rising faster than your income, if you're wondering why America spends more on its military than the next 10 countries combined, or if you feel like you're constantly being distracted by something, don't worry. You're not paranoid. You're just watching history repeat itself in real time. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? And what's the one thing about the economy that worries you the most? If you're curious where this story is heading, don't forget to subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you might completely change your perspective on things. Look, Rome didn't fall because of barbarians. That was just the final blow. The empire fell because it hollowed itself out from within. It did this through 3 fundamental reasons, and America is officially playing out the exact same scenario today. First reason, currency debasement. Rome messed with its money, reducing the silver content and turning it into worthless metal. Sound familiar? Second reason, military overextension. They stretched so far to keep the empire safe that eventually they couldn't afford the costs. Just look at America's military budget. And the third reason is the famous bread and circuses. That is, keeping the citizens docile with free food and entertainment. Today's version? Stimulus checks and social media. Let's start with the first reason, money, because the collapse always starts there. In 64 AD, under Emperor Nero, the Roman Denarius was nearly pure silver. Everyone from Britain to Egypt trusted this coin. But Rome was in trouble. Endless wars, massive construction projects. So money started running out. Rome did what every government does when squeezed. They cheated. They started shaving silver off the coins and mixing in copper. By 200 AD, the silver content in the denarius had dropped below 50%. By 265 AD, it was barely 5%. The coin looked the same on the outside, but its value was gone. The result? Prices exploded. What used to cost 1 denarius cost 1,000. Merchants wouldn't accept the money. Soldiers said, "We won't take this for pay." The moment trust ends, trade ends. Now let's look at America. In 1971, President Nixon made a decision that isn't talked about enough. He removed the gold backing from the dollar. Since that day, the dollar is backed by nothing but trust. And what happened? Since 1971, the dollar has lost 85% of its purchasing power. In 2020 alone, 40% of all dollars in history were printed. It took Rome 2 centuries to do this. America is sprinting toward the same end in recent times. Our elders could buy a house on a single income, but unfortunately, now everything costs a fortune. The methods are different, but the result is the same. Next up is the army. At its peak, Rome had military units everywhere from Scotland to Syria. Keeping soldiers in every newly conquered land meant spending a terrible amount of money. By the 3rd century, half of Rome's budget was going to the army. They raised taxes, squeezed the people, but it wasn't enough. Today, America's 2024 defense budget is over $850 billion. Even if we combine China, Russia, England, Germany, they still can't catch up to America's budget. 750 military bases in 80 countries. Think of what could be done with this money. Infrastructure, education? Just like Rome, they are trying to prop up an empire that is difficult to defend and costly. The Soviets collapsed for this reason. America watched it happen, but hasn't learned the lesson. When we come to the end, distraction tactics. In 140 AD, the poet Juvenal called this bread and circuses. Feed the people, throw entertainment in front of them, and the rest doesn't concern them. Gladiator fights, races. The public was numbed. Today we don't have gladiators, but we have TikTok, Netflix, Instagram. We look at screens for more than 7 hours a day. We don't produce, we just consume. What happens when the economy gets bad? The state quickly starts giving out aid support. In 2020 and 2021, trillions of dollars were handed out. The reason wasn't to fix the economy, but to keep people quiet. No one is protesting the $34 trillion debt or the money printing. Why? Because everyone is too busy watching the circus. The system keeps us constantly angry and occupied. And this is the most disturbing part. Rome didn't fall in a day. It rotted slowly from the inside. At the same time, Romans said, "Nothing will happen to us. We are different," until the very last moment. They trusted the currency until merchants rejected it. They trusted the army until the borders collapsed. There is the same denial in America. We believe the dollar will remain strong, that technology will save us. Unfortunately, many countries have started moving away from the dollar. Once trust is lost, it is very hard to get back. Rome's army was massive. The Soviets had nuclear weapons. But when their economies collapsed, it was all over. Time is running out. The process Rome went through over centuries is happening today in a short time frame. So what will happen? History says, governments that debase their currency, overextend their army, and put their people to sleep don't recover, they collapse. It's impossible to stop this. The system started running a long time ago. But it is possible to protect yourself. History rewards the prepared. In Rome, those who held real assets, gold, land, survived. Those who only trusted money were wiped out. No need to panic, just be awake. We need to stop saying, "Nothing will happen to me," and prepare for change. Rome fell because Romans didn't believe it would fall. Now ask yourself, are we really different this time? Or are we just Romans in nicer suits refusing to learn from history? If what I've told you gave you a different perspective, subscribe, because the parallels go deeper than you think and the next chapter is already being written.